The situation is escalating against the backdrop of increasing Turkish activity in Central Asia and the Caucasus. The scandal could set a precedent for tough decisions against all regional players who engage in independent diplomacy without the Kremlin's direct approval. Wait, Minnikhanov will be arrested. I am Tanya Karatsuba Said Burhan. Today is the 17th of September in the year 2025. There is a major conflict and scandal in Mishustin's government. According to insiders, the Prime Minister would very much like to remove the head of the Ministry of Industry and Trade, Alkanov, who has clearly failed to fulfill his official duties. However, this is being opposed by the first Deputy Prime Minister, Manturov. He has entered into a confrontation with the Prime Minister and insists that Alkanov should be given another chance and kept in his position for another year. Manturov acknowledges that there are complaints about his subordinate, and they are serious. However, he still does not see any reason to dismiss the unlucky official. Other observers even add that it is not Manturov who is backing Alkanov, but his political patron, the head of Rostek, Sergei Chemezov. But there is no confirmation of this so far. Oh, voila! Friends, let's just smile together. So what should we do? The leader of the Communist Party, Zhuganov, warned the Kremlin about an imminent resignation and named a successor. So they asked the old man. They asked the old man, out of sight, out of mind. How much longer can this go on? He's already been in office longer than Brezhnev, longer than Putin. How much longer for this old man? He's a veteran. Maybe he should go to the mausoleum. Yeah, I guess that would be good too. Probably his memory should be immortalized in the mausoleum. I suggest immortalizing Zhuganov's memory in the mausoleum next to Lenin. He has served the Communist Party for so many years. Oh, friends, voila. Sources say that the politician has indicated that after the 2026 Duma elections, he intends to step down as chairman of the Central Committee of the Communist Party and focus on his health, which has seriously deteriorated in recent years, preventing the experienced politician from fully engaging in party affairs. He would have kept sitting there right up until his death. He wouldn't have gone anywhere if certain people in the presidential administration from the security services hadn't hinted to him that they were dissatisfied and that it would be best for him to get kicked out and out of sight. As his successor, Zhuganov has already presented State Duma Deputy Yuri Afonin. He is a completely understandable and logical figure for Kremlin officials. That's why the communist choice was approved. No, that's not how it's done. It's the presidential administration that gives the order for Zhuganov to hand over his post to such and such person. This is the figure because he is understandable. He is the one the presidential administration has bet on. This isn't just any position, it's a very serious one, an ideologically significant post. That's why the Kremlin makes the choice, not Zhuganov. However, the Kremlin warned that Zhuganov's successor would have to coordinate all his actions with the presidential administration. If this is not done, the campaign to discredit the CPRF and minimize the party's rating will continue. Voila. It's all very simple. The presidential administration will work to discredit the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Ouch! This right here, you say? Well, what do you call that? Minimizing the rating. They'll be bringing themselves down. The presidential administration even admitted to this. Do you understand? No, I think it's hard to understand. It's just some kind of devilry. Alaudinov, this is Chechnya, officially announced the creation of the Community of Friendship of Peoples. Kadyrov was preparing the project supposedly in response to the growing influence of Konstantin Malofiev's group. And now the process has been launched publicly. So what exactly is being prepared in Chechnya? Is this against Russia, or is the Russian world now going to be organized in Chechnya? Sources say that the next step will be a large-scale rollout of the structure across the regions. Headquarters will start appearing in major cities, where they will begin recruiting MMA fighters, and even MMM, but it's MMA, and influential leaders of the diasporas. Their task is to counter the actions of the Russian community, to conceal nationalist events and impose their own agenda on the streets. Something like this is expected in Chechnya. Let's hope we don't end up with yet another Chechen war. The Kremlin is already discussing the risk of an open conflict between Kadyrov and Malofeev. The influence of both sides is at odds, and their organizations are starting to act as mirror images of each other. Essentially, this is about preparing for street confrontations, which could turn into an informal battle for the regions and control over a multi-million-strong audience. Insiders do not rule out that if the situation is not stopped in time, by the end of the year, Russia could see the parallel existence of two street power movements, which would pose a direct challenge to the country's internal governability. Malofeev is playing his own game. In response, a similar Chechen game is being organized against him. Why Chechnya? Something is looming in Russia, something Russia is afraid of. Putin conveyed his condolences to Trump over the death of his associate Charlie Kirk, who was the target of an assassination attempt in the state of Utah. The condolences were conveyed through informal channels. In his brief message, the Russian leader noted that the slain Republican activist strongly supported Trump's efforts to bring a swift end to the conflict in Ukraine, advocated for friendship between Russia and the United States, and also criticized Zelensky. Putin also recalled the failed assassination attempts on Trump himself and once again called the American leader a worthy politician and an extremely courageous person. As far as one can tell, this Kirk was simply getting in Trump's way. He did his job. The Moor has done his duty. The Moor can die now. Kirk was simply in the way. He was eliminated. But by whose hands? Does it matter? Yes, there will always be someone to pin any murder on. Sad, isn't it? Disgusting, of course. But that's how it is. They put a 22-year-old kid up for it, and now this kid, yes, not for life, but I think he's been given the death penalty, this kid. How is that possible? 22 years old. For what? Just because the compass needle happened to point at him. The FSB reported to Putin that the head of Tatarstan, Rustam Minnikhanov, has been making suspiciously frequent phone calls with Turkish President Recep Erdogan 3 times a month, which has already caused serious concern in Moscow. In real politics, this could become an indicator of Tatarstan forming its own foreign policy channels and the emergence of an independent agenda, especially considering Minnikhanov's special role in the strategic vision group Russia-Islamic World, and his reputation as a bridge builder between Moscow and Islamic countries. The content of these contacts is carefully concealed, but according to several insiders, the discussions cover not only economic projects, investments, and Tatarstan's role as a hub for Turkish capital, but also possible coordination on international issues, including technology transfer and regional policy. Such direct and frequent communication raises concerns for the FSB and the presidential administration. For Putin, regular personal dialogue between the leader of a federal subject and the head of state, a NATO member and traditional partner, Azerbaijan. This is where it leads. Azerbaijan. They are afraid that Tatarstan will support Azerbaijan. Therefore, for the Kremlin, this appears to be a formal reason for suspicion, even to the point of classifying such contacts as treason. Voila! Now we'll end up agreeing to everything. And suddenly the president of Tatarstan will become a traitor to the motherland. Where, oh, where are the swan, the crayfish, and the pike dragging us? In the Kremlin, they are now seriously considering options ranging from curtailing a number of Tatarstan's independent powers to increasing pressure on Minnikhanov's circle and imposing total control over communications. The situation is escalating against the backdrop of increasing Turkish activity in Central Asia and the Caucasus. The scandal could set a precedent for tough decisions against all regional players who engage in independent diplomacy without the Kremlin's direct approval. Wait, Minnikhanov will be arrested. I am Tanya Karatsuba, Said Burhan. Today is September 17th, 2025.